let's talk Mars. Building a rocket that will carry humans to the red planet is only part of the challenge. Getting a crew to work together in isolation may be just as important. 6 people just spent a year testing what it's like to live all alone on a Mars-like base, and they just left the simulation and returned to Earth.
3, 2, 1. Come on,
Fresh air, finally.
Of course, that's not really Mars. And in fact, that's the end of the 4th high seas experiment from the University of Hawaii. It was meant to simulate what it would be like to spend a year on the red planet. Joining us now is Dr. Sheyna Gifford, the mission's chief medical and safety officer. Was that the Big Island, doctor, that you were on? Were you walking around in all the lava? That might as well, but I don't see why we need to go to Mars. We can just hang out there. It's kind of the same, isn't it? Except for the oxygen in the air.
There's a few differences, but yes, Joe, it was very Mars-like.
Was it on the lava, the hard lava on the Big Island?
That's correct. It was on Hawaii Island on Mauna Loa, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, volcanoes on Earth. One of the biggest in the solar system. You got to go to Mars to get a bigger one.
So looking back, what was being there weird and going through that, or when you got out, was that crazy? How you felt? Or just describe both, I guess.
Well, the answer is yes, Joe. Being weird, being there was a little bit weird in its own way at first. Just like you move houses and it's a little weird. Go to college, leave home for the first time, it's a little weird. Being in space, this is actually my 2nd space mission. It took a little getting used to. That your whole world, you can cross it in about 12 steps, from one side of the dome to the other.
Oh my gosh.
Every time you have to go out, you have to put the spacesuit on, decompress, wait, and then you can go out, and all of a sudden it's super bright, and there's nothing but lava rock for kilometers. That takes a little getting used to. But once you get used to it, that's your world, and that seems normal. And suddenly I'm back here, where there is traffic, and streetlights, and streets, and cars, and millions of people. It seemed a little weird for the first few days, but I'm getting used to it.
So, you're in LA.
That's right.
Yeah. So the first thing you mentioned was traffic. That might not be. I mean, I see why it hit you so hard. Although Google Maps makes it a little better, but that would be a true shocker. So did you? Reminds me of not Survivor. Did you want to kill anyone that you were working with at that point? Did anyone really get on your nerves? Can you tell us which person and what they used to do?
Well, that's the antithesis of my job as a space doctor. I'm more actually there to prevent people from dying for whatever reason. Think back to college. Think back to your roommate situation. There was always a thing. Sometimes there was that guy who got on your nerves, but mostly there was that thing that somebody would do: leave out dirty dishes, not help with the laundry. You just have to talk it out. You just have to say, hey, listen, could you pitch in? Help me fold all these towels that I just did for the whole crew so that we can clean the dishes. But mostly because we did need each other to survive. There was a survival component. We grew our own food. I made yogurt and cheese and bread. We needed everybody to pitch in to make it through. So everybody pitched in because survival is important. We tried.
Like Matt Damon.
We legitimately tried, but we did not use Matt Damon's method.
Did virtual reality is getting better and better. Did that help?
I think it did. Virtual reality is getting better, and we worked with an astronaut named Jay Bucky to sort of bring us back to Earth in short bursts. And for me, the most sort of profound moment was my grandmother passed during the mission. I learned about it by email that morning. That's how we got, as you see, communication relates. All our news was by email. My mother wrote me and said, Grandma passed this morning. It was expected. And I was running the VR system. I went and set it up for the other crew members, tested it, put the goggles on, and suddenly I was back in Boston, which is a city I used to live in, standing in places I used to be, and people were looking at me. People were looking at the VR rig. And I thought, this is so cool. I've gone home. And that was really great to be able to go home in that moment especially. So VR is getting really great, has a long way to go, but it really can serve an amazing function in space for people who are either homesick or are just sensory deprived because all we have is white walls and red lava. So it's a real potential technology.
So you do it again if you had, I don't know. Really, you would?
The VR or the space, Joe? What's the question? Would I do it again? Both of them, yes. The answer is
you
yes.
would. I don't.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll do the VR. I'm staying out though.
Oh, I think that's like being trapped on a set for a year.
That's like
Wow.
or it's like Rikers or something. Which of course then you got you got villains around probably. Got more to worry about. But
Just
anyway,
finish the night up.
that's what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking about. He came out a little different than he went in, didn't he?
Very much so.
Hope he's okay. I look
Sheyna,
for it.
thank you very much.
Sheyna, thanks.
You're very welcome. Thank you, guys.
When we come back, Jim Cramer's going to be joining us live from the New York Stock